Hey everybody, welcome to Hops Metal Show. We're doing a shoot from Broadway Co-working today. We're going to do a little bit of talk about Guns N' Roses, their studio collection, odd questions. I have two guests with me, including me, Hopper.
I thought you were going to introduce me. Mike Greaver.
Larry Love.
But so I figured I'd ask them to do the Guns N' Roses thing, get their opinions. These guys listen to a lot of different stuff than I listen to.
I just wanted to talk in this mic.
I mean, I probably really ought to cut them a break and do one with them, and they listen to some stuff that's kind of out of my realm, because I've had them listen to stuff that's way out of their realm. But anyway, I was thinking today, I guess first time I heard Guns N' Roses almost had to be, I think Brian Weaver and Tracy Stroop and all of them introduced me to Guns N' Roses. That was the first time I heard them, and I actually heard them, gosh, it was well before Sweet Child of Mine became big, and I couldn't believe nobody got it when I first heard it. It was a year before they kind of blew up.
I remember like in '87, you're riding around in your car and you got the cassette, so I think I had a cassette of that, of Appetite for Destruction, and then hanging out at the MASH. I know, my God, every weekend you'd be hearing pretty much that throughout the night.
In the farmhouse.
Yeah, you'd be hearing that or something along that lines. But it was such a great album, because to me, that was just from beginning to end, it was so great. So. Oh yeah.
And I can't actually remember my first introduction to Guns N' Roses, but many moons ago.
That's some rough weekends.
I mean, it's
the farmhouse. So, yeah.
I mean, the first album, hands down, Appetite for Destruction. Wouldn't y'all say his greatest debut ever?
Oh yeah. I mean, as far as stuff that I've listened to, that to me, from beginning to end, I mean, there's nothing bad, there's nothing wrong about that album.
My favorite out of all of theirs.
Yeah.
Easily.
I actually asked them to pick two songs off each of the albums. Probably at the end we're going to be really reaching for two songs, but right now it's pretty simple. I mean, I went with Mr. Brownstone and Rocket Queen, but I know Appetite was released, July 21st, 1987. It was produced by Mike Klink, but I think he did the whole collection. But I don't know what your two favorite songs were.
Boy, my two, well, it may be sad, but through all these Guns N' Roses things here, a lot of it's going to be like the hit songs, because I just remember those are the ones that stand out to me. I mean, like Paradise City, Sweet Child of Mine, and those two are my favorite off this. But I can still listen to the whole thing. I mean, it's a great album. And like you said, you're talking about that Klink produced the whole thing, but it's like I was looking all that stuff up about Mutt Lange.
I've seen
too
that.
Much money. Paul Stanley wanted to change the drums, and so they got rid of all these people that were going to come in and produce this album, and ended up going with him. And I think,
and that was a money issue.
Yeah.
And he became one of the biggest producers ever just for the Guns N' Roses thing.
And I remember they turned down, they signed with Geffen for, I forget what it was, under $100,000. They signed, and then I forget who it was. It might have been like Chrysalis or somebody like that. Offered them double that, but they got more freedom with, I guess, David Geffen. Got more freedom with that. So,
my two off of it is My Michelle and Rocket Queen. But I like, and It's So Easy, a little reference to Iggy Pop and the Stooges with I'm Bored. But if we could take from all the other albums, our favorite two, I would put them all onto just this one here, and because this whole album from start to end is my favorite.
Well, I also read that before, when they was going marketing record companies, they said Izzy went out and bought a book that's how to get signed through a record company. And it was basically, Duff became this financial wizard years later. He said he went back and looked at their contract, and he said it's unreal that how good of a contract they actually signed for not knowing nothing about nothing. Basically, Izzy's book, how to get a record deal, pretty much
record deal for
saved
dummies.
us.
That's what I was going to say. But to me, me and Love was here talking. To me, Izzy Stradlin
He's like Malcolm Young.
he was a great probably to me the greatest member.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
my opinion. I mean,
And he brought that bluesy feels too.
When he's the one that, and nobody talks to me, Slash is just the lead guitarist. And I've always said it's kind of like Angus and Malcolm, is Slash and Izzy. But, so,
A good rhythm guitarist can make a lead guitarist even better.
so we'll go with the next album, which is GNR Lies, produced by Mike Clink again, released
good one, too.
November 1988. And I think it was just kind of released because they hadn't released nothing in a while, and basically because it's only got 4 new tracks on it, and one of them's just an acoustic version. But Patience was, I remember that being super huge.
And that's probably what really blew it up for him.
Oh yeah, that took them even a step higher. But probably my 2 tracks off this that I like is Used to Love Her and 1 in a Million. Probably my 2 favorite tracks off this album.
Hey, we're pretty close. 1 in a Million and Patience for me. I mean, to me, Patience. I mean, once like you said, when they have a big hit, it was just freaking great. I mean that
Big-
Patience is, and it's good album. Good album. I
To come out with your second album as a live
I have
album.
nothing bad to say about it. Yeah, even a couple Manson stuff on there.
My
That
2
may be a
is
bad thing to say about it.
Mama Ken and Running In for Third at 1 in a Million. And it's the longest song on the album too.
Mama Ken, good Aerosmith.
But those are my 2 favorite, is 1 in a Million and Mama Ken. But yeah, when we come to that part, those are my 2 favorites for that album.
But if you watch the video to Patience, you can tell that they're getting money because the video's big budget, and you realize that that's probably going to be the last video you see Steven Adler.
Yeah.
Steven Adler gets fired for drug use. How do you get fired from Guns N' Roses for drug use?
When
Unless
they
he
were
just
all-
wasn't drinking enough alcohol, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know really.
That is sad.
I don't know how he got fired over Slash and everybody else, because they said everybody else was doing just as much stuff as he was doing. But yep.
Yeah, and still no love there with Adler and
Yeah, still to this day. I mean, well, I think it kind of is with Slash and him, but yeah, him and Axl still aren't on the same page, and they're supposed to be 2 of the originals. Like, you know, they were really good friends.
they remember the old batch.
Old bitch.
The old batch picture.
Yeah, with the beer belly in their early 20s, the LA Guns days.
So after they fired Adler, well, he did actually play on Civil War on the Illusion albums, but released on September 17th, 1991. Double albums yet at that. Plenty of Guns N' Roses come out then. Produced by Mike Clink again. I guess they were extremely happy with his production. But yeah, you can't go wrong with. I think both of them. I like probably both of them. I think the blue one actually sold a little bit better than the yellow one. But the
You're
yellow,
right.
The Yellowing had more hits though.
well, I think the yellow one had the big hit. The
But I
November
like.
Rain.
I don't know about what you just. I think you just said it too. The blue ones to me is a
It's
better album
Yeah, I think it is.
overall.
I mean, I picked Civil War and Estranged off the second one.
I mean, you're still going to pay $17.99 at FYE for this thing, and that one too. So
Well, I mean, that just tells you that they're still as popular as they were. I mean, if they're still selling that well. And then I guess 2 favorite tracks off that is November Rain and Coma. I mean, Coma is one of them songs that I guess kind of aged pretty well. That's because it's not a song that I really liked a bunch when they first come out, but years later, I think it's one of the best songs they ever done.
all right, I'll go for the yellow one. November Rain and Don't Cry, the original version. Once again, those are probably the big hits off this thing, but just the November Rain video in itself is probably what got me. And the Don't Cry video. I mean,
Yeah.
man, Shannon Hoon. I mean,
Live and
my
Let Die. That
gosh.
was the other big.
I mean, they were great. I mean, like you said, you could tell there was money involved in those videos.
Do you remember the video for Don't Cry had the milk jug with when they used to do the missing, and then have pictures, and it had a picture of Izzy, like Slash or somebody was drinking out of the milk jug, and there's like missing, and there's a picture of Izzy straddling on the milk jug.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah, I remember watching the video, but now that you say that, that's.
I just remember it's "Don't Cry." That's like with the Mustang going off that's about the part I really remember.
Wasn't Stephanie Seymour? Wasn't that the girl?
The girl in the car might have been.
Yeah, whose girlfriend was that? This is Axl Rose's girlfriend, I believe.
Well, I know he was. When was he? During that point, he was with that the Everly brothers' daughter, because I think she was the one in November Rain, maybe. I don't know. I don't know nothing.
Well, you got money, you got hot girls around you.
Yeah.
So. Do you want to go with your seconds off of Illusion?
Did you do this one?
Yeah, I picked Estranged and Civil War. I did mine.
Okay.
Which is the longest song off of that one, Strange.
Mine are Civil War and Get in the Ring. I just like because he's, pissed at everybody. So give everybody a turn. I just like the way they made it sound like a little boxing match and stuff. So it's good stuff.
For me, with the Use Your Illusion one, right off the get-go, an old friend of ours who's passed away, right next door to hell. He always said it was rednecks go to hell. So that was a flashback that made me laugh while re-listening to this album. My favorite song off of it would be You Ain't the First. That's probably my favorite one off the album when I re-listen to it. Of course, you have the three big hits with Live and Let Die and Don't Cry, November Rain. But when I re-listened to it, You Ain't the First was my favorite going back to those days. And like I said, just having that childhood memory, that fond memory of Rednecks Go to Hell that made me laugh. With the second album, Yesterday, re-listening to it, that was the song that I liked when I was growing up, and still to this day, that was the one that I like actually the most off that album, even though, with Civil War and another version of Don't Cry and the Terminators, You Can Be Mine. But yeah, so for these two albums, it would have been You Ain't the First and Yesterday were my two favorites. And to me, I think that was Axl's ego trying to be a Roger Waters and having his wall, trying to make his Pink Floyd's wall out of that.
I remember when these come out. These guys, man, they were super huge. They could do no wrong at all. All right, so I'm going to talk about the tour a little bit, but I think before that, I'm going to do the list. In case y'all know what the list is my page that I run, Hops, Heavy Metal, Hard Rock, Facebook page. Usually post stuff, pick better albums, favorite songs by different bands. But we did a list for Guns N' Roses. Actually, quite a lot of people chimed in. So we got Jerry Lambert had Mr. Brownstone, great song. Brian Christ, Estranged, which that song ripped live. Jason Klein had One to Million. Dee Dee Price had Rocket Queen. Jared Bowman had Breakdown. Mike May had Anything Goes. Danny Crider, Night Train. John Hellborn, Live and Let Die. Greg Keister, One to Million. Kerr Griffin, Rocket Queen. Mike Hardesty, Coma. Derek Tyree, Welcome to Jungle. Casey Firkin, It's So Easy. Devin Ross, Yesterday. Chris Steele, Live and Let Die. And that'd be the list.
Hellborn would be a great name for a band.
Yeah.
Almost like Airborne, huh?
It would be. But we had pretty good response for the list. I say everybody must be Guns N' Roses fans. I think pretty much everybody.
In some bit or form.
Yeah. Whether it's maybe not towards the tail end, because it gets pretty rough here in a little bit, but not quite as rough as Metallica, Randy. But and this tour was when Izzy Stradlin left the band, which huge loss. That was probably, y'all were just talking about that earlier.
But none of Guns N' Roses songs ever hit Randy's top 16 or 18 worst songs ever.
Well, this is true.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's scary, and that's Chinese. That's putting how many ever songs on Chinese Democracy? That he's saying they're better than a lot of that other stuff. But I listened to the album this morning, and But when Stradlin left, he was replaced by Gilby Clarke, which Gilby Clarke done a good job. I know that I think I'd read where Gilby Clarke had gotten sick or something, and they paid Izzy Stradlin I think it was like $1 million a show. He did 3 shows. Yep. And they was thinking that he would come back. And he played them 3 shows and left.
Yeah,
and
I remember that. That was big. It was headline news.
Yeah.
And like how the song goes, video killed the radio star. Video killed the video stars too, the rock stars. If you really think about it, with MTV and at that point in time, they were making $50 million videos.
Oh, and when you go from playing in clubs in like LA and all that circuit, where you're walking back on your what was it, like the first tour they did, you went up the West Coast and both your vehicles break down, and you're walking back. The only thing you come back with is your guitars. I mean, that's a big change when you start raking in the bucks.
Oh yeah,
videos.
Well, them guys.
But I think that was what really killed the video industry, was them making those $50 million, $100 million videos that were, crashing Mustangs off of videos and swimming with dolphins. And I'm not just saying Guns N' Roses in general. I'm just saying all bands at that point in time, rap bands.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Swimming with dolphins.
Because if you think how the video originally started off, it was just a way to produce your album.
Yeah.
In the early 70s.
Yeah.
Through the 70s, and then it was just something that was just produced out with the band to show who they was. It wasn't actually for the mass consumption of the world to see, just music producers. And then by the 90s, like I said, they were making $100 million videos. So no wonder we had a bunch of geezers from Jersey becoming everything on there.
See, and this tour was like super huge. I mean, I remember when I got remarked that they did that co-headline with Metallica. And then you remember James had that powder accident, burn his hand. And it's like, I think what Jason said on They're Behind the Music, that Guns N' Roses could have come on and saved the day. But,
wasn't there a couple shows on that where they just
pissed it off. Yeah, pissed away.
Just walk off the stage.
Yeah, that was they thought Metallica was actually upscaling them because James was upscaling Axl. And they left, and that's when they ended up riding, and they toured the place. I think it was St. Louis, and I think they got to actually play there. That was the first time that they got to play there since
all that happened.
Yeah, because the tour was so huge, this past tour, that I guess they wanted in on some of the cash too. But yeah, I remember seeing when they rided over that. I mean, that just shows how big they were. I mean, 2 of the biggest bands in the world, they got to tour together. But so then it comes along the spaghetti incident. It's pretty much a lot of punk stuff, covers. It was produced by Mike Clank again, and I had to pick 2 songs off of it. I went with Ain't It Fun and Attitude. And I don't know, it's a lot of misses on here, a lot of clunkers for me. I mean, even to being the big Guns N' Roses fan that I am, there's not, maybe half of this thing might be decent, listenable, in my opinion. But it did well, but I think it sold a lot because it was Guns N' Roses.
Well, I know they did 2 of my favorite bands. As punk bands, UK Subs and The Damned. The Damned is probably my favorite punk band ever. And they did New Rose, so I'm almost have to like that song. I think it's good. And then Down on the Farm, another good one. And they're back to back on here. And like you said, there's a lot of misses. The Nazareth cover.
I'm not. Yeah, they should have left the Nazareth.
Didn't really feel. But if you bought the album, it was like orange.
Yeah,
so
I did see the vinyl for it.
For me, the 2 songs was I Don't Care About You from Fear, and I've done lost my train of thought. Ain't It Fun by the Dead Boys. And actually, Ain't It Fun, that was how I got introduced to the Dead Boys, was listening to this album and going back. I'm not going to say anything about Attitude and the Misfits we'll just leave that alone. We'll leave a lot alone with Guns N' Roses trying to be a punk band, even though.
The thing I like about Attitude, though, is Duff sings it.
Right,
It's
and
not-
Duff was a lot of the punk out of the
Yeah.
band anyway. So and go figure, bass, being a bass player.
But when you combined all the elements they had, because you take Slash was straight up, kind of Aerosmith, just that 70s hard rock guitarist, and then Izzy was even more so like Rolling
Stones and more of the bluesier feel.
But then you brought, like you said, you brought in Duff, which had a punk edge, and you put all that together, and that's
and with Axl on his gritty vocals.
yeah, it created magic. I mean, pretty much the only way to describe it. But I think after this, man, it got really,
Well, you waited 20
really
years,
patchy.
so
I mean,
however many years it is
I mean,
until
Slash-
Chinese democracy.
Well, Slash, you quit the band, it says here in October '96. So there you've already lost Izzy, and then you're losing Slash, which I remember, I don't know if I was telling Love this. I think I might have been telling him this yesterday. But we saw Zach in at Main Street when he played up there. String had hooked me up, told him he was out there and come down and talk to him. So he was like sitting there bullshitting with some other people with the other band members they got talking about Guns N' Roses, and they was all ragging on Guns N' Roses hard, about Axl being a prima donna and, everybody having the different buses and how extreme it had gotten. But I remember they started busting on Slash, and Zach pretty much shut all that down. He said, Slash is a stand-up act. He's probably the most stand-up act in the band. That, he didn't have all the drama that Axl had or whatever.
Well, yeah, because.
But he was almost a replacement. He said it was just they wanted him to take his own bus and all this stuff. But I printed all this stuff off Wikipedia, so that tells you how much
There's your bucket head.
you got. All this, you got all this
Trench
lineup change. I mean, God, it seemed like I remember hearing all the lineup changes. What Buckethead was in there for a while, and then we had.
Well, nobody can keep up with the attitude and ego that Axl has and had.
But it's like I was telling Love there, Tommy Stinson started playing. He was with him for 9 years with Axl Rose. Replacements guitarist. I like Tommy Stinson because, being a Replacements fan. But it never sunk in to me to buy or listen to Guns N' Roses after when your complete lineup changes. And I don't care if they bring in 20 bucket heads. All of them wear Colonel Sanders buckets on their heads.
They all wear some KFC on their heads, man.
Well, they even had like
And what's the other?
Bumblefoot.
Bumblefoot and Trench Ass and all them other guys.
I mean, it's almost like he went to get names that were, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, we had all this stuff.
And still, we're waiting for the album to come out.
What it's like, and then we're at finally November 23rd, 2008. Not even produced by Mike Klink. They've even gotten rid of him, or he's done left, or whatever. We get this. Chinese Democracy. And when I asked the guys to pick out songs, Love, he wasn't happy about it. He didn't even want to listen to it at all.
Did Klink do any production on that or any of the songs? Or
I don't think he did. From what I read, it was, when I looked up the album, I think it was Axl Rose and somebody I'd never even heard of.
How many millions they spend on that thing?
Oh, it was like, what, 14 million? The album had estimated 14 million production costs. That's just
Wow, that's
unreal.
crazy.
But I went with Chinese Democracy and Street of Dreams. But, man, I listened to this stuff this morning, and Axl's voice, it sounds almost perfect that it's not even, you can't even stand to listen to it. It's like it is so whiny and perfect that he's lost everything that made Axl Rose Axl Rose.
Well,
How'd you do on picking on that?
I remember I bought this thing the day it came out. I remember going to, I don't know if it might have been whatever FYE was called then. Might have been called FYE, but I remember buying this and total disappointment. I mean, the only two songs, and I mean, I'm sure you feel sort of the same way I do. I mean, probably, but I haven't listened to this thing since probably. I might have listened to it twice.
Yeah,
The title song and then Better is the only two songs that I liked even remotely. I like the cover. I think the cover's pretty nice, but after that, it's what's inside that counts.
yeah, it is.
I mean, yeah, it's after all those years, that's the best you could do. But I think all the songwriters had already left. To me, people put all the best songs together weren't even around, and so that's what you got.
Well, it's all over the place, I guess, because it's a 14. It's how many every years. 18 years span. I mean, music's changed so much, and you can hear it on there.
Where the build-up was so great. I mean, I remember they'd come on like Entertainment Tonight and stuff like that, and they'd have these big things. I'll wait till you hear this, and then 2 years later, all this is happening now, and it's just God, slow train to nowhere.
Now, like we were saying, since we were doing this, and Hop said, he wanted me to listen to this. I went in with starting off with a lot of hate already with it, or not even going to like it. But as soon as it came on, Chinese Democracy, obviously being a title song, it should have be liked, and I liked it. The second song, the Shackler's Revenge, I did not like that guitar riff. It was.
Was that the industrial song?
Yeah, it had like that Perry Man 5000, like it had that 90s.
Yeah, industrial.
Not even, that
They
poppy
probably wrote
fake.
that in the early 90s.
Probably so. The third song, The Better, you could tell it was a polished song. You could tell that they were definitely trying to make that the radio song.
Yeah.
The Street of Dreams, it was a lot of piano. I thought it was trying to go back to the Use Your Illusion days. If the World, I liked it. I liked the cool groove. It almost had like the Lenny Kravitz kind of feel to it, which if you think about it, when Kravitz and Slash actually played, Slash played with
Mama
him.
Said.
But I liked the way the groove of that song went. I liked the intro of it. There was a time, again with the theatrics, the Civil War drumming, the symphony. It was the longest song on the album. The Catcher in the Rye, again, that fake Slash solo. I know it's your replacements, dude, but to me, the song felt longer than what it actually was at 5 minutes. Scrape, that was too many awful oohs and ahs and overplayed. The Raid, and how do you even say that?
Bedouin.
Yeah. Again, instead of going with the oohs, he went with the ahs instead.
Dan loves giving us a track by track.
Oh, I am. Hey, I listened to this whole album because, man, I went in with it. The next song, Sorry. I really liked it. I liked the flow. I liked the riff. I liked the lyrics. I liked the way the song ended. That was probably my favorite song off the whole album, and the If the World. But the IRS song, it was trying to push the guitar again, that Slash hash. But we did get some of Axl's grittier vocals with that song. The Madagascar, I loved the intro to it. I thought it had a very stereophonics feel to it.
Not as good as the movie.
Yeah. I liked the intro of it, man. It felt like it was going to be like a stereophonics. If you've ever checked out Stereophonics, I like Stereophonics, man. They're still one of my favorites. But by midway through the song, we're getting into that Civil War. They're doing that cult of personality with the Malcolm King speech and the Gandhi speeches, and it was just a little too much for me.
Yeah, he's saying for more than I did.
Oh yeah, man! You told me to do it, so I did it, man. I did my homework.
Most of that, if it didn't happen in the first 20 seconds, I said, well,
I listened the whole. I sat down. That was my whole day yesterday. Was Guns N' Roses, man.
Axl will be proud.
That's right. The This I Love, again, the piano opening. It was the wrong kind of gritty vocals. The type of Axl I don't like. Again, with the Slash hash type of guitaring. The end of the song with the wind blowing, it sounded like the intro to November Rain. It hurt my feeling. Prostitute. A little bit of everything. If you kind of listen to that song, it just has a little bit of everything of Guns N' Roses, with the pianoing or the guitar solo or the vocalings. It wasn't a bad song, but, it says it all right there with being a prostitute. So, but in closing, it was better than what I thought it was going to be. I actually gave it a 2.75 out of 4.
Wow.
So I was actually glad that I actually listened to it. And if you're Guns N' Roses fans, I think you should give it a chance, and you might actually like it. But like I said, Sorry and If the World were the two that ended up being my faves out of it. And Sorry, I really liked that song. It was probably my favorite one.
What'd you
Yeah,
think?
see, that's why I kept quiet on my album, man. I wanted to be a little shocker at the end of this,
Call
man.
Rolling Stone and tell them, hey, we got a guy for you.
Yeah,
here.
that's right.
Chinese Democracy.
Little
Best
hawker on the
review-
shocker.
Best review ever. So I guess a couple years after this, there's talk of them getting inducted to Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they actually do. But Axl bows out. I think Miles Kennedy performs for Axl, and Steven Adler and Matt Sorum and Slash and Duff play. And I will say Miles Kennedy done a great job. I mean, it wasn't
I like
Axl
Matt
Rose.
Sorum. I like Matt Sorum. He's a good
But it ain't
drummer.
Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, true. But you look. Well, here's my problem with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They
Poor
will,
Danny
they
Trump.
will, they will bring these bums up here to like. If you can't get like Cheap Trick, they at least they all went out there and sang when you knew there was a lot of difficulty.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But they won't bring some.
Look at Kiss.
Yeah, well, yeah. Let's talk about Kiss. But yeah, that ain't even.
Come on, Randy.
That's not even. There's no Kiss no more.
No.
It's just a duo with some backup guys.
Yeah.
But sorry,
Just a
Randy.
couple of nice Jewish guys from New York. Eat some salami. Sheila.
But yeah, the Rock and Roll. But see, when they did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I remember thinking when Axl refused to do that, I was like, man, we are never going to get to see them. No, I'll never get to see them live. Man, we'll never, ever get to see Axl and Slash on the same stage. So then I start hearing all this talk about, Coachella?
Coachella.
Big concert they have out in
The desert.
Yeah.
the desert. And there's talk that Guns N' Roses is going to headline Coachella, $1 million a night. I'm thinking, man, there's no way in hell. There's no way. They didn't do Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Axl's not going to do this. Well, it goes off it goes off perfect. They made $1 million a night. I guess money says a lot. I guess Axl and Slash figured they could stand on the same stage
Yeah.
3 hours for $1
Out there in
million.
the desert, he already had his sand in his vagina, so
Well,
they didn't have
that's-
to worry about it.
Well, that's sort of like the Misfits. They've gotten together here. Danzig and Jerry Only. I mean,
Dole.
and it's for the money.
Yeah.
But I mean, whether it was for the money or not, they are announced their tour, which is not a lifetime tour, and man, it's like I went to it. It's not the full original lineup. I mean, it's Slash, Duff, and Axl, but I'll take 3/5. For as awesome as the show was, I was telling Hardesty, we was just talking about it a little while ago. Man, it is one of the it's in my top. It's probably top 3 shows. I went and seen him at Hershey, and I told Love. He asked me as soon as I got home. I said, "Dude, it's probably the 3rd best show I've seen," and I've been to a lot of shows. I mean, it was just phenomenal. I mean, they played over 3 hours and didn't. I mean, it wasn't a lot of jerking off, screwing around. They actually played the whole time.
And he only got, bitchy with Slash like 2 or 3 times out of the
Yeah.
whole thing, so.
Yeah, I mean, they actually got through, and whether they're getting along or what is it don't matter. I got to see them.
$1 million can change all kinds of
Yeah.
shit on that, though.
And they don't even have to be. They just got to be on stage together for 3 hours. I mean, they can make so much money. They don't have to ride on the same bus. Just they got out there and they come in. They jammed. Axl didn't throw a tantrum, and everybody jammed, did what they needed to do. And I left there thinking, man, that was freaking awesome.
Well, after like Duff, you read about stuff like he's over in Britain a lot. He does a lot over there. And I told you about I'm a big Manic Street Preachers fan. and he was on one of their albums. And just you read up stuff. They have a lot of articles about him in like Q Magazine and stuff that what he's done and did, and I just I try to follow the certain members. Now Axl Rose, I don't really read any articles up on him, but when stuff sort of hits you in one vein, like he's talking or playing with a group that you like, then you sort of read more up on him. So I've tried to keep up in that aspect, but pretty much I don't keep up with them, as far as the band anymore. After Spaghetti Incident, that was sort of, you're sort of hanging off the cliff, and then when Chinese come out, you just fall. You say,
20
that's
years
it.
later.
Yeah.
However
That's a
many
long
years it
time
is.
hanging on that cliff.
Well, how many years was it again that we went from Spaghetti Incident to Chinese Democracy?
Oh, it was like
It was a long,
2008.
yeah, it was a long time, yeah. It was a long time.
Golly, it's probably the 90s. I don't even know.
I think you said 97, but I can't remember.
I think they had to wait for grunge to die maybe before they put it out there. That's what they do.
Yeah, I don't even.
Had to let the heroin run its course.
You can clean your system out.
93.
So from
93
93,
to 2008. Pretty much nothing.
yeah.
I mean, they were doing solo albums and stuff.
Yeah, Slash with Snake Pit. And
But I always say one thing I will say about Guns N' Roses, and I always say about Metallica, even though might not agree with everything they're doing now. We actually got to see. That's another band. Like I talk about Metallica, we've got to watch Metallica become the biggest band in the world, going from turning their backs to the the crowd, the hairband crowd, to becoming super huge. Metallica is like a household name. And the same with Guns N' Roses. We watched them.
and
go
I would say
from
probably, yeah, and Guns N' Roses probably even more.
just a bunch of punks to they had the biggest tour grosser last year. Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's like when Appetite, it takes you back to a good time.
Yeah.
Maybe the best time in your life.
Riding around in an 87 Camaro.
In some
speakers booming.
aspects, when you just simpler times when that was fun. You get in your car,
Yeah.
put the thing in.
That
and
was
listen to
your
it.
major chore for the day, was make sure you had Appetite to put in your tape player, because I had it on cassette.
Yeah, I did too. That's what I bought. It was the first one. I don't know if it was R&S Records that I bought it at, but it was. I remember buying
And
it.
see, I took the Lies tape and turned it inside out because you had the cooler drawing on the inside. Because I don't know why. So, and still to this day, if you look at my tape collections, the Guns N' Roses one is actually still folded inside out compared to having the front of it.
But if anybody's got anything they want to ask about Guns N' Roses, we're not the Guns N' Roses experts. I'm not. I don't know about these guys, but
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not.
far from Guns N' Roses expert. But we got a little comment section down here. Comment away. Give us a thumbs up.
Call this number now.
Give us a thumbs up. Tell us you like it. And subscribe. The usual stuff. But we're going to wrap this Guns N' Roses thing up. Want to give a shout out to Broadway Co-working for allowing us some space in this place. It's a pretty nice place. Everybody ought to come down and check it out.
Yep.
Get in touch with Eugene Bear if you're interested.
Don't wear green.
Yeah, don't wear green. We're out of here. Later, y'all.